to crash like when the stocks go down. I'm rich for real, I can press a button and make the ops go down. Nah, facts. Let's see, boy. Maybach with the shade. Brand new CTS, all red like the braid. Y'all just started slime, we was slime back in the day. 21 gang, wood grain on the cake. Big slaughter, nigga, big dagger in my face. Ski mask, fuck a camera, gun them down on tape. Breaking news, thought 5, pussy, we don't play straight. I caught my Hellcat OVO, cause it keep a Drake fast. Red dot, headshot, pussy DOA. Count me a 10 in 1 minute, count a whole 110 minutes. Oh God, nigga need to call that hood Beyblade, cause all we do is spinning. Oh God, I own me a couple establishments, I ain't worried about your business. Y'all running around here gossiping, I'm trying to make me some more millions. Pussy, round with a stick in the hot box, I ain't never put my phone in it. Pussy, we call your main bitch pussy hood, cause all we do is John in it. Pussy, money the only paperwork I put my bros in. Pussy, somebody please unthaw my ears, cause they frozen. Ice like I'm trying to make a knot go down. When the police hit the lights, I do not slow down. Oh God, oh God, oh God, straight up. Brand new Draco ready to crash like when the stocks go down. I'm rich for real, I can press a button and make the ops go down. Nah, facts. Let's see, boy. Charging with theft by taking cause it drip stolen. Pussy, trap spot in the neighborhood is 60 rolling. Pussy, head on CPR, I got your bitch choking. Pussy, selling Percocets, weed, boy, and cocaine. So many choppers in the spot, we leave the door open. Put the water in the pot, then you stick the fork in. Put some holes in your shirt, now it's red soaking. I ain't running from no smoke, here, semicolon. You wanna hold some? I got plenty shells. I don't even want no smoke. Niggas gon' tell the tale. I don't even play with people, kids. Go play Battlefield. I'm from the east, home of the murders. You niggas will die here. They like the box, we like the pop. Both of us body bill. You can get hit with one of them guns from my ad lib. You gon' fuck around and get chopped, little karate kid. Pussy, I ain't seen him in a minute, but ask if God did. Pussy, Saint Laurent sweater. Rock Balenciaga when I rock the Beretta. Shout out Robert Kraft, fell in love with the cheddar. Beat a rapper ass, Def Jam Vendetta. When it come to we got plenty. Eating Root Chris, I done burnt out on the Benny. And I eat, sleep, shit, fuck with the semi. Screaming fuck, friends, family first, rockin' Fendi.
Mic is muted. We on the Xbox. We ain't got nothing going on the screen. I'm finna change that right now. Let's see. Here we go. Almost forgot how to do it. Not quite. Almost. There we go. No. That's not it. Hold on, let me see. Oh yeah, it is that one then. Cool, whatever. Battlefield? Don't worry, I'll fix it in a second. Alright, let's put it here. Right there. That look good. All right. My bad. Hold on. Get my hat right. Or kind of right, I guess. So, whatever. You know how it is. Yeah. Hey. All right, here we go. Let's get some Battlefield going too. No signal. That's cap. Yeah. Alright, hold on. Should I just take the hat off? Take the hat off? Keep the hat on. For what? I don't know. Alright, let's see what Battlefield talking about. Oh yeah, we don't need the scoreboard, huh? I forgot we ain't playing 2K. There we go. Beach. Alright, give me 1 second though, real quick. I gotta post on these other social medias real quick. Give me a second. Sheesh. Instagram is crazy. I swear. When I was a kid, you had to stay up late and watch Showtime or HBO. Now you can just look at Instagram. Shit. Public domain is crazy. Damn. Alright, hold on. I ain't done yet still, my bad. But we can talk. How was y'all day? Huh? Uh-oh. Let's see. Alright, I'm posting videos right quick right now. Alright, let me see. Did they post already? It's on its way. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be doing that. My bad. Sheesh. I almost made a mistake, but I caught myself, so we good. I posted to the wrong place. Wouldn't have been a big deal or nothing, but you know, we avoided that tragedy. Hey, what we got? Oh, yeah, this one. Let's see. Oh yeah, I gotta move that a little bit. There we go. Slight detail. Got to stream on motherfucking TikTok real quick for a minute. Oh yeah. Wait, did I just post it? Okay, I was about to say, did I post it on the wrong one? I'm posting in like 7 different places right now. My bad. It's really, you know, the last one though. No cap. No cap. Alright. We're not finna watch this one. I just needed that one to make the placeholder. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what we got though. Yesterday we got to watch True Stream Media. That was a cool little treat. You know what I'm saying? Right? Looking for some video. Boosie got out of jail. Boosie got out of jail. That's crazy. I was about to say, these videos look old, but they're only 2 hours old. Still old. Damn, bro. So much more easy yesterday. Yesterday, the first video I saw was a good video. Alright, let's fucking use this one.
Push-ups with no push-downs?
Does that mean no push-downs?
I think it's a gay concept.
Push-ups or no
I don't know what it is. You guys know way more gay lingo than I do. I'm not sure.
Couldn't tell you, man.
Oh, man. And then we had the bad ZXE, that one came through. Let me do a couple from YouTube. We're pretty
Did you read the EXE one?
It was a TTS that I'm pretty sure came through already. It's called Reality. Yeah, that one came through as a TTS. All right, we have...
I want to read Proverbs 5.
Do we just do Stiffer really quick? Okay, what do you... Ask everyone to rate their looks on a scale of 1 to 10 really quick. Destiny, you
10,
first.
obviously.
10.
10, of course. 10.
Oh, God.
Hands all around the table.
Why not?
Patriarchy?
No.
The patriarchy.
Patriarchy.
Please.
I just
We'll
like...
give you Patriarchy 2 buffer. So whatever you say plus 2.
Hold on, let her answer.
I don't know. I feel like, to me, it's weird when I try to like judge my own looks. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the question...
Are you a 10?
Fine, I'm a 10, whatever.
Don't let me put words in your mouth.
No, I think like whenever people ask questions like that, it kind of annoys me because I feel like there's so much more to a person.
There
like how they
is,
look.
there is, of course.
I know, but then
we're
if
just
I
talking
explain
about looks.
Answer the question.
Here we are
Yeah,
going
so
into
Right.
million
I'll
shades.
say
I can
Like,
answer it for you. I'd
Can't
say
give a
maybe a
straight
4,
answer.
6.
Hello?
I mean, personally,
It's
I
not
think
that
how
hard.
someone looks is like the least interesting thing about them, but that's just me.
But
I
that
feel like
wasn't
it's
the
a nice little
question.
exercise
I know,
on
I'm
every
being
single
soy, that's why I
episode,
was
and the
trying
whole
to
point is
ask
that
you.
everybody gives themselves like
What do you
what's
rate
a ridiculous
yourself?
thing.
I haven't
right?
heard
But we
that.
haven't gotten to that side of the table
Yeah,
yet.
I'll
true.
answer
But
it.
you guys usually rate yourself as well.
Of course.
Sometimes, yeah.
You'll
Say
get
the
there.
same number every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't feel like you have a good day or a bad day?
I incorporate
We'll
that
get
into
to
my
it. We'll get
answer.
to it. So do you
I'll say 10. Let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick with my answer. It's a 6.7.
Nev, go
I'm gonna
ahead.
say a 6 for me as well.
John.
I'll give myself a 7 today because this suit is really good.
I say 7.
I would say a 9. A 10's not real. That's like an abstraction, right? Like assuming a normal distribution.
Is Jesus a
There's
10?
an idea.
Yeah, that's us.
Jesus
of
the
rating
10.
system.
That's
Right. Well, you know, people, I think they misunderstand that. They tend to
Holy
think that
shit.
like a 7
Jesus
is
is a
average.
10.
They think 7
I
is
take it back.
70%. That's like a
Jeez,
C.
not
Assuming
funny.
a normal distribution, this is very important. Rating women, rating people in
I
general.
got killed.
5 would be like a perfect average, and then you would see like a bell curve sort of slope from there. So if you're talking about a 7, I mean, that's already like what, top 15%, probably even greater than that. It's very important stuff.
Hey, we over here, we're perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chase, what about you?
7.5,
I
8
think
on a
you're a
good day.
10.
Thank you.
This is not to be weird or anything.
No, I didn't
Too
think
late
it
for
was-
that.
Said I think you're a
Sorry,
10.
I mean,
I
You have a
appreciate that. Thank
boyfriend,
you.
don't
Thank
you?
you for the
well,
compliment.
no, I'm just saying, I see a beautiful man and I'll call him a beautiful man.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Chase.
I think
Appreciate
you
that.
By the way, virgin?
Yeah, I
She has a
am.
boyfriend.
Okay. all right.
Okay.
I give myself a 6.9 on a good day.
How about with the wig on though?
The wig.
10. I'm like the mirror opposite of Destiny with the wig.
True.
10.
Disagree.
Of course. Yeah, the 10 thing though.
I'm sorry, I kind of fucked you on that by answering initially. My bad.
It's all good. It's all good. So you object to the whole 10 thing. You said people really shouldn't care much about physical appearance.
It's not. I'm not gonna pretend like people aren't influenced by physical appearance. I just feel like so much of society focuses on that, and it's like, dude, there's
Well, it's
so
extremely
much more.
it's extremely important. You have to have
that's-
attraction to
it's-
have a relationship
Yeah.
last.
It's
That's normal.
just a question about how would you rate your physical looks. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's
It's
fine.
not like what's
I'm
your
not
worth
saying
as a
it's-
human being.
It's not
Sir.
important. Obviously, it's important to some. I'm just saying, to me personally, I
God.
tend to think how people
Wasn't
look
paying
is
attention.
usually the least interesting thing about them. I think there's a lot more to people than just their
Something,
superficial looks.
question,
something
okay?
tells me
Okay.
you're lying based on the fact that you've never been on a date before.
I
and
think
have
something tells
probably
me you're
rejected.
projecting,
No.
right?
I think you've rejected every dude that's asked you out because none of them have been interesting or good looking enough to go out with them.
No.
No.
If I've rejected people, it's literally just been on the basis that I don't think we're compatible. We can still be
You
friends.
haven't even gone on a date with them though. How do you know you're not compatible?
Took the
Because I'm not
words
gonna
right
waste
out of my
anybody's
mouth.
time on going
Yeah.
on a date with them if I don't feel
Oh.
the initial compatibility or like chemistry there.
I think that's where you're failing. You're not going on dates with people yet. You're saying, "Oh, I'm judging them on compatibility," but you're not actually like.
I mean,
spending
when
time
you say
with
the
them.
judgment
honestly-
is not just like occurring out of nowhere.
You're
If
not
they ask
spend-
me if I would like to go on a date with them, if they would just are gonna tell me like come on a date with me, I mean that's different. But like when you ask somebody on a date, you're accepting that they may or
I
may not
think
reject
You are
right?
everything
Are you-
wrong
are
with
you
modern
insinuating?
dating.
Hold on.
Right.
You are everything.
I mean, we
News
already
and
established that I'm not
Steady.
dating, so.
Are you
But you are everything
hold
wrong
on,
with it.
Billy Ray, are you insinuating that if a guy
Billy
told
Ray.
you come on a date with me, you'd be like, okay?
No. I
You
just
said
I'd
you
say
said it would be
that's
you said it would be different if a guy said it.
No,
that way.
because she said that you're judging people on the basis of this, and I'm saying if you ask somebody on a date, you're putting yourself out there and you are opening yourself up to rejection.
Would you go on a date with Fresh from the Fresh and Fit podcast?
Would I go on a date with Fresh?
Yes,
Oh
he's a
my-
good-looking,
who-
attractive
who
man.
wouldn't go on a date with Fresh? Who wouldn't go on a date with Myron? Who wouldn't go on a date with the entire crew at Fresh and Fit? You know?
No, I'm just asking you about Fresh. Is that a yes? Into the camera.
To Fresh?
Yeah.
that camera right there.
Wait. Are you advocating for...
You're so fucking difficult. I
Yes.
think that's your problem.
Oh,
Yes.
you just cut me off. Okay.
I'm sorry that I cut you off, but it's just like I've been holding it in.
Oh,
like,
then maybe not, because if I'm so like difficult and disagreeable, then it doesn't sound like Fresh and I would get along, right? So.
Okay,
Definitely not.
here's a clarifying question. When was the last time you met or discovered or anything? Maybe you didn't meet him.
When was the last time-
Hold on. When was the last time you came across a guy who you were like, he's attractive? I would go out with him if he asked me. Can you ever remember an instance where you found a guy attractive and would want to go out with him?
I mean, when you say that, I guess it would have to, like, if you're asking me, like, the last time that I could remember, I can't think off the top of my head, no.
Can't remember
because-
the last guy you were attracted to?
What? No.
I got a question.
It's
What-
not because they don't exist.
Did you have
There's plenty
crushes
of,
on guys
it's
in
not-
high school or
I'm trying
college
to
or
answer your
anything?
question.
Yeah.
It's not because attractive men don't exist. Attractive men are all around me, but I'm saying that there's more to like what I'm going to consider when I'm deciding like who do I want to date more than just physical attractiveness. There's a plethora of
I know,
physically
but that's
attractive
not
men.
my question. My question is, can you remember the last guy you were attracted to?
Like their face or
Whoa.
like when
Just
it
in
happened.
general,
Right.
energy, face, everything.
Can
I
you
know,
ask to be a
actually,
troll, dude?
genuinely
This is
sounds
such a
like troll
troll.
question, but I don't know exactly what you mean, or like I'm asking.
Do you want
can we
kids?
stop
wait.
asking her questions?
Like, do you want kids?
Can you
At some
remember
point?
the last?
just
Wait, can
stop
you remember the
asking
last
about
time?
it? I don't know if I can have kids, but
Can you remember the last time a guy liked you, like engaged in conversation and like she wanted to go on a date with you?
yeah,
When was that?
today.
I wanted to go on a date with you today.
No, like was I asked on a date today?
Yeah,
no,
that's
but
what I'm
I'm in
asking.
contact and friends with men who have asked me on dates before that I didn't go on.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Is your
Yeah.
neck okay?
Huh? Oh, I
I don't know if you have like a cooling pad or something. You
Oh
okay?
yeah, I've got chronic neck pain issues. I've got a neck injury, so
Damn.
Does this podcast help or hurt that?
Definitely
Doesn't
hurts.
help. That's funny.
stress does not help with pain.
Definitely
issues,
hurts.
So.
I don't know. With Chase next
The
to you, I
fuck? How
think
can I
that
see
should also
him?
be like helping, right?
Bro, you're weird. You're fucking goofy. This fucking chick. Okay. Are you a virgin?
no,
That's the
please,
question,
please.
right?
I'm just because like
She must be, dude.
After
No,
that
she
conversation,
probably
I think so.
intellectualizes it and says like, "What is a virgin, though?
Yeah.
What
There's
is a
no such
virgin?
thing as virginity, and here's why. Because
Here's
all
an
my
idea
feminist
of a
theory that I read
virgin,
in
some
school,
kind of
Virginity even
abstraction.
real?
Nothing's
Like,
black and
you know,
white.
what is this?
nothing is
But
black
there
and
is no
white.
real virgin.
well, because you
Only
say
an
you've like
entity.
never been on a date, so I'm just trying to figure it out.
You don't have to ever worry about like the patriarchy boogeyman of like
Hey,
men
can I,
kidnapping you or whatever because they just return you after you talk so much.
Brian, are you a virgin?
No, I was gonna say if you've never been on a
Wait,
date.
but Brian, But Brian,
I'd like
are
to
you
be
a
the
virgin?
first. No.
No.
Brian's
Oh,
not.
okay.
So he answered. Now
See
you.
how simple that was?
Huh?
Wait, I want to hear about your first
Question
time.
answer.
Yeah.
He said no.
My first time.
Yeah, I really want to imagine it.
And like,
It's kind
how
of-
old
I
were
wanna
you?
hear
Your
it.
trauma dump on this
I'll
one.
it's actually I'll tell you after the show because it's kind of funny, but I don't want
No,
to.
Wait, I want to hear it right now.
now.
The audience wants to
I'll
hear
just
about
say,
it.
look, I was 17 and
Yeah, I was 17 and
it's good.
quick.
It's good. It's nothing too crazy.
Sounds too
That's
freaky.
it. I don't want the details of your first time. I'm just simply asking if you're a virgin or not.
You're just
Ah,
simply
man, come
asking
on.
that.
The answer is
Yeah.
clearly
It's
no.
a very simple
Clearly
question.
no. Clearly
very
no.
simple answer.
Is it so clear?
So-
I mean,
okay.
if it's so clear, why do you ask? You
Here,
haven't asked.
some guy, listen, some guy made her like this, so like it's
Right.
clearly no.
Have you had sex?
Which
That's a better
chromosome
question.
are you missing?
Here's a better question.
Chromosome
Who
am I
hurt you?
I don't know.
Have you had sex? Bro, this chick's like,
What
actually,
is
I want to
sex,
drop the
though?
R word, so.
What the
Do
fuck?
it. I think I, like,
This is why you need to judge
still
people
there?
more thoroughly on how they look, because the moment she sat down, you could just tell by her appearance that this was pretty much more or less how the conversation was going to go. She sort of has the
true.
like
the second I walked
librarian
in the room, you
physiognomy.
should've known that. It was just
But
like,
I don't.
The librarian
See, here's the
physiognomy.
thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand your objection to not wanting to answer the question because if you have had sex, like, I think anyone here who's had sex, it's not like a shameful thing to admit you've had sex. And it's
know
also
what,
not a
Brian?
shame.
I
I can tell you.
Hold on.
I can tell
But
you
it's-
what the shame is.
It's not a
Brian.
shameful thing if you're a virgin either. So I don't understand.
Here's what it is. She's already revealed that she's never been on a date. So if she has in fact had sex, that means that she had sex without going on a date, and there is an element of shame involved with that. And if she did have sex, she doesn't want to reveal it because she takes herself very seriously.
Because of
true,
patriarchy
King.
that would shame her.
Yes.
I mean, but
yes.
a lot of people in today's day and age, they're not like going on dates. It's like come over, and that can, you know what? That sort of very casual scenario could actually lead to a long-term relationship. So I mean,
Well, what's your definition of a date?
definition of a date.
Yes.
We were actually.
Well,
Gonna have
intersectionality
some
says
dumb
this about
answer.
dates.
Didn't make it over
I
there.
think so. We
We
don't
should
give
just-
Brian
we
an
should just
answer, so
move
we're
on.
just gonna skip that question. What
bro,
you
just
ask
like
her,
answer the
Everybody
question.
in the
So
chat,
dumb.
everybody in the chat is saying that you're a plant.
Do you
I'm
have a
curious,
degree?
Chat, do you guys think that she's a plant, or do you guys think that she's just like this all the time?
No, she's definitely
Bro.
Destiny's friend.
Is a walk in the park a date?
But it's like
the
it's
symptoms
so
of being
weird.
ready friend. Yeah, I can tell.
It's like so weird. Like you're on a dating podcast. Like you're 24. You're
You're
feminist.
24. What the fuck?
Like if we were to have a
younger.
discussion about something sex related, like you would also choose to omit answering like a sex
Object or
related
omit,
question. or
yeah.
Right,
just
this has been an impediment.
a what?
I just, you know what I
An
want to know?
impediment.
So f***ing answer the question, dude. It's not like I
It's
don't
cringe.
think-
Just move on. She's holding
It's
up
not
the
a big
show.
deal. I'm like
here's
watching
what I
you
wanna
get
know,
so
Aaron.
worked up
I'm
over
gonna
Aaron,
fucking
here's
blow
what I
my
wanna
brains
know.
you
out.
guys.
Aaron, here's what I want to know. Why did you come on tonight? What was your
It's
intention?
like bad faith. That's
Yeah,
what
what was-
I'm
what was your
upset about.
intention?
It's not your necessarily that I don't get to know the answer. It's just really bad faith that you're playing this game when you requested to be on the show.
Do you think
Right.
you're being a
Question.
good? Do you think you're being
Will you
a
guys
good
believe what she
representative? Hold on,
said,
hold on, hold on. Do you
It's
think you're
so
being a
fucking
good
obnoxious,
representative of
dude.
feminism
Yo,
right now?
do we kick her off?
I think they're
do
a
we just
perfect
fucking kick her off?
We
representation.
could. We could.
wait,
before
can I ask a
before we
question?
do. No. Hold on.
Before we do.
Hold on. What was your intention in coming on tonight?
Be
And have a
insufferable.
Hold
lovely
on.
discussion with you fine people about dating talk in
So
the 21st
clearly
century.
that's a lie. Are you going to continue in bad faith?
I don't know. Am I?
Dude,
probably just kick her out.
oh my god, oh my god.
I,
oh my
at this
god.
We
point,
should
I
probably
know
just
I
kick her
have
off
a gen- I have a
because
genuine
honestly, like,
question.
we just
Oh
keep
my
get,
God.
getting
Kick.
lost in these
Look,
loops
here's
over
the
and over and
difference.
over again.
Had you just said,
Wait. Audience.
Yeah.
You have paying audience members, okay? We're giving a show to them. We should leave it to them. Okay, well, they're already saying kick
Shit.
her off.
At
Kick
this
her
point,
off.
would you believe
I mean,
what
we've
she
got
said?
a bunch of
That's the problem, I
democracy
think.
respecters in here.
Wait.
If you know we want to respect democracy,
Wait.
I say we just kick her off, man.
At
Wait,
this point,
how can we
would
kick
you
her off?
believe whatever she said? Because like now I'm thinking.
I think she's
no,
full of
because
shit
now
on
you're
everything.
not
Fuck yeah.
trustworthy.
Listen,
Listen,
listen.
On everything.
So
Let's
how do
just
we
kick
how
her
do we
off.
how do we kick her off and not blame the patriarchy at the same time?
I think we should just own the patriarchy
Dude.
and say it's based and
Dude,
just kick her
I
off.
literally have autism, and you're 10 times more retarded than I am. Like, I literally have diagnosed autism. I was in the classroom with the speds and shit, going on the bus and shit. And
You're
literally,
saying words that are not allowed on YouTube.
listen,
Sorry,
here's,
sorry.
here's what it
I'm sorry.
ultimately could have come down to. You could have just said, hey, listen, I'd rather not share that publicly. I don't want to answer that. But you wanted to make it into some game, like some semantic game, and I just don't understand. Like, it's really bad faith. If you just said, look, hey, I don't want to share that, fine. But like when you kind of,
Not
the
bad.
first time I asked, you're like, we'll get into it later. and then you refused.
Brian,
and then we're back
I'll
here
tell you
again.
what it is. Earlier in the conversation, she made a comment about how you enjoy clip farming. Aaron
This
doesn't
not even
doesn't
a clippable
hold on.
moment.
Hold on, just listen to my point.
When you kick her off,
Aaron,
it is.
hold on.
Which is why.
Everybody, please silence your mouths. She doesn't like you or your show. She came on the show to obstruct constructive
I do like the
conversation.
show.
No, you
I'm
don't.
having a good time.
No, if you liked the show, you would actually be good faith. She came on the show to throw a wrench in the gears and to obstruct constructive conversation, and she's acting like she's not doing it and like we're being crazy and stuff. You should just kick her off the show, man.
Damn. Fucking tank hit me like
chat.
They are, dude.
As soon
You
as I
had
seen him.
1,000 people say
I
kick
saw
her
Castle,
off
I
right
saw
now.
Kick,
You should kick her off right
unanimous
now,
support
Brian.
to like get me out.
said he
Otherwise,
got
we're gonna
1,000.
continue wasting
Destiny,
our
you
time
sticking
with all
around?
this bullshit.
What?
You
I'm
sticking
here
around?
until the end. Yeah,
He's a
came out
professional.
to this. I drove all the way to this city, so I'm here for as long as you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You drove to this city?
What?
Please.
I have a
Not my
question
fault.
for
I
you.
drove from LA.
Look at your
Destiny.
chat. Look at your
It's-
chat
no,
right
no,
now.
Okay, I have a
Steven,
question.
Flew from Miami.
Answer
Is there
question before I
anything
fucking
Aaron
go.
can do
I try to go get him
to
too.
show good faith right now?
Yeah, be quiet.
Honestly,
I think
you
you
had
would.
the opportunity.
Yeah, just don't
you
talk
had
to
the
us.
opportunity.
Yeah, go be
so
quiet.
kindly, I'm asking you to leave.
Yeah.
This is be kicking her.
Question for
Yeah.
Played the
Steven.
sound effect. There's no
You gotta
doubt.
go.
Hold on.
Steven, would you
Aaron,
let
said
her
you
get
had the sound
polycule?
effect.
Aaron, you should go.
It's over.
I'm not answering your question.
Yeah, yeah, you should
just leave.
Please
I'm
leave.
doing that.
Thank
Can you
you.
leave? I don't know if your friend wants to come with you, but
I will
you
leave
can-
you guys to ask the very important questions about Stephen and Melina's relationship and diving more
Thank
into
you.
That's
that.
lovely.
Thank you
can
so
leave.
much. See you next week. Bye bye. We love you.
Peace out.
Quickly.
Peace out. You too.
Three shows in a row. Hello.
Anyways,
Can we like scoot over now? 'Cause we
I
have
hope
more.
so, because I'm
Hey,
cramped.
Brian's capping some content.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
Hi, Chase.
Stop the cap.
hey,
Stop the cap. Film her, Brian.
now we've got a little
Establish
bit more
your alpha
space
male
at the
energy.
table.
Total
This is good.
patriarchy.
Establish it, Brian.
Total patriarchy victory. bro. Let's
Patriarchy
go. We're
wins
back.
once again.
We're back.
That's
dude.
right.
All right.
Well,
Did you guys know she was gonna be like that?
That's kind of short. It's fun to go back.
Does she have like a YouTube channel or something?
She kind of streams sometimes, but I don't know. Maybe she'll get into it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Should have asked her that.
She is kind of redeemed. That was pretty like based and submissive. How she just immediately was like, "Oh, men are telling me what to do."
I would just not try to rationalize her behavior whatsoever.
Yo,
That was
yo,
just shitty.
chat, please let us know. Are we back or what? If we're back, say we're back in all caps. Bro, I'm thinking we're back.
I think we're back.
Were you
Yeah,
guys
I-
not back? Was there a
Where did we
challenge?
go?
It was momentarily. It was
For a
so
moment.
over. Yeah.
Where did we
Wait,
go?
like was it so over like in previous episodes or just in this one, or what do you mean? Has there been like a lull in content?
It's been over for about the past 30 minutes, but
Oh, okay.
currently we're back.
Right.
Yeah. That was a little cringe.
I have fucking AIDS now. I'm just like most of the whores that go on this show. I have AIDS.
We were
You
back.
should probably
and now
write
it's
everything you
over.
say like on a fucking,
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
like a piece of work
I'm sorry, I'm
paper or
sorry, I'm
something
sorry,
First.
before you say
I'm
it.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Funny.
I just if
You be saying crazy shit. Somebody fucking him off from up there.
Hostile activity at one of our objectives.
Wing.
Call for one is not ours. We do not control Alpha 2 any longer. Need a ranger! My marker!
U.S. troops assaulting one of our objectives.
That's probably him right there.
They're beginning to weaken. Hostiles control Alpha 2.
I thought that was him, but that's not him. Oh, behind me? Oh, shit. Up top.
Let's get going.
Got his ass, boy.
Reloading.
One of our objectives is being invaded.
Oh, get a shot in the back. God damn. Trying to reload. Shouldn't have picked that spot to reload, but whatever. Lost control of one of our objectives. They got that shit.
Objective captured by U.S. forces.
Our forces are moving to attack Alpha 1.
Objective Alpha 2 under friendly control.
Damn. Oh, let's go back in there. Fuck it.
Location mark. Western transport.
Acknowledged. Vehicle drop incoming.
Grenade thrown.
No, I couldn't fucking get him. I had the wrong gun out. It's crazy. Damn, he got spun around. My shit won't reload. I don't know what the fuck is going on. There we go.
I need a reload.
We are about to attack Alpha 1.
Let's fly.
Damn! As soon as I got up there, somebody saw me. Sheesh. No getting away with that.
We've been pushed out of our objective.
I need help.
Oh, let me see if I can mark him. Holy shit, that's on me. Oh.
Don't let me die over here.
College girl struggles to answer a simple question. Let's see.
Okay, so y'all said, just to bring it back here, body count shouldn't matter.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
Body
Here we
count
go.
shouldn't matter, right?
Here we go.
Right? Okay, if body count shouldn't matter,
You could ask for ours.
Loaded in, straight kill.
what's your body count?
3.
Well, hold on. Go ahead.
I think it's a social construct I'm not gonna share.
What? But I thought it was a social construct. It shouldn't
It is,
matter.
That's why it doesn't matter. I don't
Shouldn't
care.
matter.
Like,
But just like for people who are curious, I think you should share.
I don't
think-
want to.
no.
Thank you though.
If it doesn't matter, why don't you want to?
Be the change you want to see in the world.
I'm uncomfortable doing so.
That's fine.
I already said 3.
3? Okay.
That's
For the
cat.
sole purpose My mother asked me this question yesterday.
Your mom?
My mother.
Oh shit.
My mother asked me this question and I refused to answer, and I'm gonna refuse to answer because my mother will be watching this, and that is just not it's just not, it's just really not. It's just, if we can somehow block her, then maybe, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Love you, Mom.
What's her username?
No, I actually have no idea, but
I think I'll stand with that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotta protect the mothers.
Yeah.
Gotta protect the mothers.
Yeah, if my mom
Bruh.
wasn't watching, I'd tell you guys. No, and I'll tell you off camera too, but it's like, I don't care if anyone knows, but my mom, like, I don't know.
And my dad,
Yeah,
guys, my father.
And it's not even bad. It's just
Man,
the
you
mom's
thought about
all
that
said
before
it
you
doesn't
did.
matter, and none
What's
of you.
yours? Did we say anything about our parents?
Wait, what are your body
I
counts?
feel like the mother thing is like a cop out to the.
It's really not. My mom asked me
Wait,
that yesterday
that's a
over
good one.
FaceTime. She goes, "So how many people have you slept with?" And I was like,
Oh, got him. He slid
no
right
comment.
into that one.
Like, no comment.
Okay, so whatever the number is,
Multiplied by 3.
so just.
What are your body counts? Why didn't you answer?
Well, I think body count matters.
Uh-huh.
So.
Okay.
So
So
I
therefore,
have,
you're not answering.
well, of course I have a
course.
reason to, but I think Chase, you've shared before, right? Do you want to share again?
Not really. Not if they're not going to answer.
She answered.
You
One
did.
for
You
one.
did. We've got to get a few more answers before I share.
Tanner, you got to come in, bro, because we know about you.
I'm not gonna answer on air. That's way
Come
too
on,
many
Tanner.
people.
Come on, Tanner.
Way too many people.
Come on, Tanner.
Yeah, that's really awful.
No, it's not.
Why?
What?
That,
Wait,
that was,
what?
that was brave.
What?
You answered the question, and it's
not brave.
it's also
I'd say it is.
It's also not an answer that's like really going to get you judged. Like you didn't have much to lose by saying that.
Wait, what?
Also,
Do
it's
you
very
guys have
low.
stuff to lose?
I mean,
Oh.
He has stuff to lose. He might have stuff to lose. I might have stuff to lose. I mean, I'm just not sharing mine out of spite because you guys didn't share.
Out of
it.
spite.
There we go.
Okay.
Wait, can we guess? Can we guess?
I'm totally comfortable sharing it.
5.
Okay.
Wait, are you guessing?
I'm
his?
guessing. I'm guessing.
Why don't you
Okay.
tell us yours and then?
5.
Okay.
No, oh, that's not mine. I'm just.
I know
I'm just
you're
trying
guessing
to guess.
mine. Okay.
Am I cold,
Hannah,
hot?
do you have a guess?
Do I have a guess? I mean, you said you went through a phase, so maybe like 12.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess 8.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess number 9.
Okay.
But you can only tell us if it's true if we pick
No,
the right number.
None of you guessed it.
Okay. Okay.
7?
Fair enough.
Is it lower or higher?
I feel like it's definitely higher.
It was in the ballpark.
20.
It was in the ballpark.
20.
Number 7.
Yes, I've slept with 7 women.
Yes!
So you guys gonna tell us now or what? Body count doesn't matter, guys.
It's a social construct.
Apparently, it's social construct.
If
doesn't
body
matter.
count was truly a social construct and it didn't actually matter, these
They would
women
tell
would be
you.
The
very
issue
happy
is
to share
that
it with us.
People weaponize it, and that's not something.
You know what? I've said things in this conversation people are going to weaponize against me someday.
Yeah.
And it's important to be the change you want to see in the world.
We must speak truth.
Yes.
Speak the truth.
The best thing that you can be is yourself, for sure. Like, there's so much fake everything, fake people, fake food, fake systems. The best thing you can be is yourself.
Okay, so they're not gonna answer it. That's,
Well,
that's
let
totally
me
fine.
let me guess. Is it under 20? Oh, if it's way under 20, then you shouldn't.
I just feel I have a boyfriend. That's like weird. Like I don't want to talk about that.
That's fine.
That's
If they don't want to
understandable.
answer, it's fine. It's fine.
Is
we
it
won't
under
pressure.
20?
Oh, it's way higher. No, I'm kidding. Joking.
Multiplied by 3, and that's the real number.
All right. Well. So, but let's talk a little bit about body count, right? Why does it matter, Chase? Why does body count matter?
You already explained why it mattered.
Okay, did I
We had, like,
explain?
a 30-minute
I don't think I explained.
conversation
Did I
about this.
explain?
I
I
explained
don't
in
think I-
depth while
You
you were
also
doing other
explained
stuff.
why it mattered.
You were doing other stuff around the room.
Okay.
You were doing other stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, guys,
Do you
that is a
think
really
the-
nice message.
Do you think the double standard is an acceptable double standard? So in other words, a guy can sleep with a lot of girls. He's kind
I
of
got him though before they
seen as a
got me.
stud. But if a woman sleeps with a lot of men, she's seen as a slut. Do you think that is a reasonable or justified double standard?
I don't think it's justified.
Not
Lem-
even a little bit.
Well, why would it be justified? Like what? I don't get it. Like you're asking, is it okay for
It's a leading
society
question.
to,
He's
like,
steering the conversation.
Yeah, guys, like keep sleeping with as many women as you like want, type thing, and then like.
Well,
for-
guys are seen as studs and women are
Right.
seen as sluts. If
Right.
that's-
Well, I don't think that's.
Yeah,
I don't think that's justified.
You don't think it's a justified double standard?
No. I mean, would
No?
you guys
Okay.
justify that?
I do think it's justified for a few reasons.
Really?
Okay, here we go.
I knew that was coming.
Really?
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
I want to hear why you think it's justified. I'm
Well,
very curious.
I agree with him, by the way.
Of course
Thank you,
Of course
Chase.
you do.
Thank you,
But
Chase.
Of course you do.
You
guys
guys
so
so wait, when you say it's justified, do you mean it's like okay for guys to sleep with more
Yes,
girls?
that's what he's- that's what he's
but
saying.
there is a reason
Basically.
people think
There's a
guys that are able
reason.
to
And
sleep
that's
with a lot of
for
women are
next episode.
studs, and women who sleep with a
I
lot
have
of
a
Can you
guys are
please
sluts.
explain your reasoning?
So I'll come in. Yes, there is a reason for the double standard. One, it's a lot easier for y'all to get laid than it is for men. Way
There
easier.
you go, and I
mean,
agree
can
with
open
that,
up to you
but-
if you guys think it's harder for women to get laid, but
I think that might just be because men have like lower standards, though. Like a lot of
we
men do
go.
have lower standards.
if men had lower standards,
We would be able to hit more
So,
than.
wait,
I'm pointing at
What?
the camera. But
They don't
I see people in
understand.
the chat saying shit.
What?
Just want them to know I see their comments.
Wait, so it's harder for men to get laid because they have lower standards? Wouldn't it be easier for men?
Right.
No, yeah, I'm saying it's like the reason why, like it's easier
You
for
don't know
men
what
is
she's
because they have lower standards.
Oh, so you think it's easier for men to get laid than it is for women to get laid?
That's crazy.
Wait, hold on.
So, look, like,
She don't know
women
what the hell she's
choose
talking about.
who they want to have sex with. Men take what they can get, but
Yeah.
also men choose who they settle down with, and who they choose to like to have a partner.
I think
Honestly,
that's a
some.
generalization.
No, it
I
isn't.
think I
It's
will
the
make
truth.
it way simpler.
They don't.
so
It's
that
crazy
everybody
that
can
they don't understand.
All of you women right now, there's probably 100+ dudes that you know that would sleep with you in an instant. Okay, for all guys. At any given moment in time, except for the top tier dudes.
I didn't know it was
At any
two
given
over
moment
there.
in time, there's probably less than 6 women that would have sex with them. Okay, you can be an average woman, and there's going to be a million dudes that are going to want to have sex with her. An average guy is going to have barely any women that want to have sex with him. Women tend to want the guys at the top. Okay, you don't have to be a woman at the top for men to want you. So it's really easy for women to have sex. Okay, it's way harder for men to find women that want to have sex with them.
Most men are completely looked over.
They are dumbfounded.
Most men are
Completely.
invisible.
Which is why it's impressive when a guy is. It's societally impressive when a guy is able to sleep with a lot of women. Okay, it's not impressive at all if a girl can do that. All you have to do is just freaking open your legs. Like literally, it's like literally that easy.
It's easy. Like you
It's
don't
literally
need
that
game.
easy.
You just show up. You
all
walk
of you-
into a club, a party. You just got to show up.
All
to
of
get
you
laid.
could go on Tinder right now and sleep with a guy by the
Tonight.
end of the night.
Okay, but we
Instantaneously.
also don't represent all of females. There's a
You're
lot
right.
of women that are overlooked too.
You're right. You're
No.
absolutely
I
right.
feel like it's kind of equal. It really just depends.
No.
Not
The
even
average
close.
Woman, the average woman is gonna have a shit ton of guys that want to sleep with her. Okay.
Even if you look through an average woman's like Tinder DMs or whatnot, a very average woman could have sex super easily.
Yes.
Very easily.
That's why the double standard isn't justified because I could have sex
don't
with
understand.
hundreds of guys if I wanted to, but I don't.
Right?
But
That's a good thing.
Yeah, good.
Stay that way.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish.
What's our point,
So
right?
that's why it doesn't make sense to me to shame women for having a higher body count when they're still rejecting 90% of the guys that come up to them. It's like we still have very high standards. Still, like that's why the whole double standard thing isn't making sense to me because guys are taking what they can get. It's like
Wait, so if you
don't
knew a
get
chick
it.
that
She
had
still
slept
don't
with
get it.
150 men, you wouldn't look down on that at all.
I would not judge her. No. Would I want to have sex with her? Maybe not.
You wouldn't
That's
think
a personal preference.
you
I
wouldn't think
be
she was
like-
kind of a slut or anything like that.
I honestly, that's not my business. I don't want to have sex with her.
It's a
I'm straight,
cop-out.
so it's like.
I will say I'll say this: most women could sleep with most men. Most men could not sleep with most women.
So this is your guys' way of okay. Wait, I'm trying to understand the justification. So because women can sleep with however many men that they want, and men have a smaller pool, right? Is what your guys are saying? They have a much smaller pool, so that makes it like better for men to like rack up the numbers.
No, we're not
It's
saying
not
it's better. We're not
it's
saying
just
it's better.
there's a justification for
Yeah,
the
it just doesn't happen
double
as
standard.
much.
Okay, wait. Would you guys say that
I don't think it's better.
predominantly?
It's like a positive double standard.
No, we're just saying it exists for a reason. Like it's a valid double.
Oh, okay. So you're not saying that you like think it's good.
I don't think it's a good. I think it's a terrible thing for dudes to just run through women. I think it's damaging for society.
Okay.
But there is a reason why.
Well, I
dudes that
misconstrued that in my head because I thought that you guys were making the point of, oh, it's a good double standard.
No,
it should stay that way.
That's not what we're saying.
No.
That's not.
Okay, then I agree with you.
Okay.
So we can agree on one thing.
All right.
Hooray!
It took them that long to understand a simple concept. Yeah, give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right? Looking for another video real quick. Let's see what we got. Oh, I'm looking for some videos still, so my bad, I ain't pressed the button. You doing big though, I see it. You gonna play basketball with my No, it's about perspective.
Alpha 2 targeted. Begin the assault.
Weapon is reloading!
Two whole objectives. Once we have one sector, we will force the Americans into the next.
Should have turned that corner quicker, I knew it too. Not clearing the room properly, that's what you get. Us to come in and clear the room. Hopefully somebody come and kill him. Everybody rocking LMGs. I think I need to get an LMG. I like my AK, my AR. If I could have killed that dude, we would have took that spot too.
Open. Return to the engagement.
Hostiles have secured an objective.
Fuck. Messed up again. That's crazy. I could have got both of them. I keep fucking up. It's because I ain't got no video to watch, that's why. Still looking for a video.
Здесь опасно! Не подходите ко мне!
Oh, it's Saturday, that's why. Check my history. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Check the history. I had a video I wanted to watch. Yesterday, I think, and I said I was gonna watch it today. Now I just gotta find it.
We have taken Alpha 1.
Despite their reputation as the largest and best funded foreign intelligence service in the world, the CIA's early history was defined by playing catch up to other major powers.
When I was a cadet, what's the cadet motto at West Point? You will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole.
I'm not sure that we can trust our government. Everything that the CIA has told us has been a lie, and it doesn't matter who's in the White House.
I'll never apologize for the United States of America. Ever. I don't care what the facts are.
Until their entrance into the Second World War, the US's foreign intelligence was conducted through a selection of Army, Navy, and government intelligence services. They rarely talked to each other, keeping their information separate and out of reach of the central government. It wasn't until 1942 that they were consolidated by President Roosevelt into one unified system, the OSS. Now, they had a lot of ground to cover, as the UK was already starting their foreign intelligence service over 30 years prior in 1908, and the Soviets were renowned for their massive network of informants and moles. So they needed every advantage to level the playing field, and some of the OSS thought that this would lie in testing and creating new interrogation techniques. Just a year after being created, the OSS was already conducting experiments to this end. Previously confidential documents reveal that as early as 1943, the OSS were giving military volunteers mescaline and other psychoactive drugs, all so that they could test their usage in interrogation. And it wasn't just volunteers though. The documents also make reference to involuntary testing on criminals using similar substances. At the same time, the OSS was working with mafia kingpins in New York in preparation for their invasion of Italy, so this was most likely the source for their test subjects. The OSS weren't the only branch of the US government involved in unethical experiments. The war effort gave the US a lot of new problems to solve. Don't you ever jump into your mesh and wonder, what's it all about? Where am I headed? Well, the answer is the League Divisions. Mech Arena is free to play and super easy to get into, and there are a few things you can gameplay. Fatal and high doses. Never left their country into the Pacific. Gameplay. And now, and you can use my description below. It was nearly all controlled by the now, and you can use my personal link or scan my QR code to get bonuses worth $30.
No, we don't want that. I'm trying to fast forward so I can see the information. Okay, so, oh, there we go. That'll work.
Description below. One of which was malaria. Sending thousands of soldiers who had probably never left their country into the Pacific led to a massive malaria problem. Incredibly, one of the most effective treatments was nearly all controlled by the Japanese. Now, to be fair, not many soldiers did die from the less aggressive Eastern strain, but the amount of people who left in hospital beds was a huge strain on the military. Desperate for new treatments, the US Army and the State Department funded dangerous tests of new malaria treatments on inmates at Stateville Penitentiary, Illinois. Incentivized by meager sums of cash or early parole, 500 prisoners were infected with malaria and given the untested drugs. They knew many of these compounds and mixtures were dangerous and fatal in high doses, but they wanted to test the upper limits of what someone can actually take. One prisoner died after a particularly high dose of one of these research chemicals, and many others suffered awfully from the treatments. They even started getting some of the prisoners involved in the research process itself. One imprisoned murderer was instrumental in recruiting other prisoners, observing the results and even conducting the tests. Now, despite these experiments becoming public knowledge a few years later, the CIA was going to learn a lot from these early government endeavors into human experimentation. In particular, these techniques of interrogating test subjects into the experiment itself is something that the CIA would be soon to take advantage of. But eventually, once the war was over, the OSS had time to consolidate and rebuild, and it was around 1947 that the CIA was born, a new agency designed to make up for the inadequacies of the OSS. Some of their early aims were to hone and perfect the art of interrogation. But why interrogation?
Panic. began to set in. And I know what they mean now when they say everyone has a breaking point, a point at which you will basically say anything just to make it stop.
The OSS and other intelligence services were interested in solving a problem that had existed for thousands of years. It barely ever works. It wasn't that people wouldn't talk, it was that they talked too much. People would say anything under enough pressure. So getting them to tell the truth was a whole other matter entirely. And this was the holy grail the OSS was after. They had 4 main goals. The first, as we've already mentioned, was to find a way to get the truth out of prisoners. They were also looking to condition their own agents against interrogation, to ensure their own techniques couldn't be used against them. The other 2 aims, though, are much more unsettling. They mentioned finding out methods of controlling the activities of prisoners and people within their control, but also of conditioning their own agents against it. Behind the deliberately vague phrasing, they're referring to mind control, and this was something the CIA was incredibly interested in.
Are you aware of Operation Midnight Climax?
Those were the safe houses in San Francisco.
Well, that was the brothel version of it. Yeah, where they lured these Johns into these brothels and then dosed them up with LSD and studied them.
In 1955, one of the CIA's darkest experiments would begin in San Francisco. As part of the CIA's multitude of experiments under the wing of MKUltra, one mind control experiment was especially disturbing, a top secret program called Operation Midnight Climax. Now, the operation began with the CIA purchasing an apartment in San Francisco and transforming this place into a makeshift brothel. A brothel wired up to recording units, martini booths, toilets, and one-way and two-way mirrors. Next, the CIA sent undercover agents to go out and hire random sex workers. Soon after, the CIA would then blackmail these prostitutes, whilst also providing favors for these sex workers. Favors like criminal immunity and huge wads of cash. And in return, the prostitutes would lure unknowing men into the CIA's experiments. In the first brothel, prostitute informants would administer psychoactive drugs to unsuspecting clients. According to the journalist Gary Kamiya, certain individuals, the prostitutes, would covertly administer this material in accordance with the CIA's instructions, with one of the agents telling the Telegraph Hill that you could bring people in for quickies after lunch. So over time, once the brothel was set up, hundreds of men and prostitutes would be put into the rooms throughout the city, and in these rooms, the CIA operatives would be hiding within these walls, behind a two-way or one-way mirror, watching everything that happened in the room. And then eventually, prostitutes would be secretly instructed by these operatives to go to the bathroom. Then the next minute, the men waiting around in the bed would be unknowingly drugged with LSD, sprayed by aerosols, or had their drinks spiked, which when combined with the women and blackmail, made the men especially willing to divulge their deepest secrets, because this was the ultimate aim of the operation. It was a test to see how open and talkative drugs and sex made these men. How could they manipulate someone's mind to tell someone their darkest secrets? The escorts would then stay with these men for hours, talking them up and asking them about their jobs, and the men just couldn't stop talking. And it was this operation that showed a lot of hope for the CIA's quest in mind control, so much so that they would actually open up a second brothel next to the Golden Gate Bridge. However, over the following years, moral questions started to be raised, and the considerable risks that came from this operation in terms of negative publicity and trust in the public added extra pressure for there to be measurable results from these experiments. But unfortunately for the CIA, they were forced to admit that this method of mind control really wasn't providing enough reliable data to be of any real use for the CIA's mind control ambitions. And so eventually the operation would come to an end, and all records would be destroyed by the CIA in 1973. In fact, the only reason we know any of this is because of a whistleblower who worked for the US State Department, as he remembered that the CIA had actually stored records of this top secret operation in a warehouse, and these records only detailed the financial records of the operation, showing how much the prostitutes were paid, along with the cost of operating the San Francisco brothels. But by understanding the finances of this operation, the whistleblower could piece together the story again. And that's why after the whistleblower testified this information to Congress, he would eventually write a book about MKUltra, one of the first to expose the CIA's many crimes. But it was after becoming one of the main voices, speaking out against the CIA's mind control experiments, that the whistleblower would eventually find the true damage of these operations. Because according to Tom O'Neill, the reason this whistleblower faded into obscurity and stopped speaking out against the CIA's secret experiments was because thousands of people every day would camp out in his garden, constantly claiming that they were victims of the CIA's MKUltra operations. Every day, hundreds of people would find the whistleblower, convinced that the CIA had done something to them, that they were also victims victims of MKUltra, and it was after this that it became clear that operations like Midnight Climax were sowing some very deep seeds of mistrust against the entire US government across the country. Lots of the victims were left with invisible scars, results of the CIA's tampering within their minds. However, in most people, it manifested as anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Some people were lost forever, their personalities forever changed. In a few cases, it turned people into radicals, people like the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski. You see, before he came to university, he was a genius. So much so that he was on the borderline of madness, as he too was exposed to psychic driving, continual humiliation, and other CIA mind control techniques, explaining his later hatred of authority, considering what the CIA had done to this underage Ted Kaczynski. But of all the killers that the CIA is linked to, none are more disturbing than their connection with Charles Manson. Infamous for his cult of followers who call themselves the Family, he was arrested and imprisoned for masterminding the ritualistic murders of Sharon Tate and 6 others. Now all signs seem to point to a deluded attempt to spark a race war, but now the official narrative is beginning to fall apart, as it's only recently that the CIA's likely involvement has been uncovered, all based on decades of work by one man, Tom O'Neill. You see, the year was 1999, and Tom was just an entertainment journalist. He'd been out of work for some time, until eventually an offer came from an editor at the Premier magazine, asking him to write a piece on the Manson murders in preparation for the 30th anniversary. Tom almost didn't accept. Everyone already knew the story, so what else was there to uncover? But he needed the money, and the magazine's editor was sure there was something else to the story. Little did she know how right she would be. The 3-month deadline set by the magazine came and went, but Tom didn't care. What began as a short project became an obsession. Every new discovery just led to more questions.
Well, a real turning point in my reporting was after I got access to Manson's parole file and saw that, I mean, in Helter Skelter, Bugliosi, I think, describes 2 arrests that Manson got released on technicalities, shoddy police work or something when he should have been violated. But what he didn't do was talk about 3 or 4 more.
Turning a short piece on Manson into an entire book that still doesn't answer all the questions. The only thing that became crystal clear was the official narrative of the Manson family just didn't add up. And here's what he learned. The first thing that Tom discovered was that the trial of Charles Manson and the fact that one of the prosecutor's key witnesses lied in court about the motive of the murder, and that lie became part of the official story, and was set in stone in the chief prosecutor Vincent Bogolosi's best-selling book a few years later. Both him and the witness alleged that Charles Manson chose the Tate's house as the location because the former resident, Terry Melcher, had wronged Manson in the past over some record deal, but the official motive was that Manson wanted to start a quote race war, which this has absolutely no link to. Tom's suspicions then grew further when he interviewed other people surrounding the case, who nearly all hated Bogolosi and thought that he was a snake. Working from this clue of a nonsensical motive and a possibly corrupt prosecution, Tom uncovered a hidden depth to the relationship between Melcher, one of the top record producers of the 60s, and Manson. He uncovered that Melcher had visited Manson's cult at their desert compound after the murders took place, and that he had lied under oath during the murder trial, something that can actually lead you to getting a murder sentence yourself for lying in a murder trial. Documents also uncovered by Tom implied that Melcher had schemed with Bogolisi to include this lie in his theory, which soon became fact. When Bogolisi himself was interviewed by Tom, who was showing him the evidence and the accusations, Bogolisi started to panic. He clamped up, deftly brushing aside Tom's questions using his decades of experience as a courtroom lawyer.
Are these even real chats, or are these just bots on Twitch and YouTube? But if y'all are real humans, put a 1 in the chat.
And then he even threatened to sue Tom for $100 million. However, his co-prosecutor on the Manson case, Stephen Kay, was much less combative when he was confronted, and he also told Tom that his evidence could overturn the whole verdict, possibly setting Manson the crazed murderer free. But Tom pressed on. There were just too many questions. Why Bogolisi and Melcher lied about the motive? What were they covering up this whole time? And that's when the CIA and their involvement came into focus. Because by 2005, Tom was deeply stuck into the mystery, as he uncovered another link to Charles Manson, this time stemming from a man called Reeve Whitson. He had been an undercover agent for the CIA, working on infiltrating hippie groups and the film industry in the 60s. At least, that's what Reeve's wife and child thought. The CIA coyly told Tom that they could neither confirm nor deny his employment. But shortly after his death, Reeves had confessed to his family that he had been involved with the Manson family under the orders of the CIA, and that he could have actually stopped the murders, but he didn't. In fact, he had actually been at the scene of the crime before the police even showed up, which which was a deal later corroborated by witnesses. And it's at this point this particular thread of inquiry transitions from evidence to speculation. Although it's not hard to put together the pieces of the puzzle, Reeves' involvement with the Mansons was likely under Operation Chaos, a massive project that involved missions to destabilize left-wing groups and civil rights movements. One part of the tragic legacy of the Manson murders is that it finally destroyed the optimism and spirit of the 60s. The days of the summer of love died, and if the CIA were involved, then their plan worked spectacularly. Other details that Tom uncovered also offer circumstantial evidence to this theory. Before the murders occurred, for example, Manson was caught with his cult, breaking parole, and in possession of stolen cars, credit cards, and even a machine gun. He would have been rearrested if he were anyone else, but his parole officer somehow pulled out every stop to let him go free after receiving a message from higher-ups in the chain of command. And Manson is also strongly linked to the CIA's LSD mind control program MKUltra. During 1967, when Manson was forming his cult in San Francisco before they moved to California, he allegedly came into contact with Dr. Louis West. He had been a part of MKUltra for years, running various experiments involving LSD on unsuspecting victims, and it's highly plausible that Manson had been one of the experimentees, or had even been involved with the running of the test themselves, as his followers did accomplish one of MKUltra's holy grails, using LSD and psychological pressure to convince that person to kill. However, proof of these specific allegations, much like the majority of the details surrounding the case, have likely been lost forever. Despite this, it's still clear that the truth never really came out, because the further you go down this rabbit hole, the more absurd and unbelievable the story becomes. Manson himself, for example, plays the part of the crazed lunatic on camera, but speaks in full sentences in clear English when he's not being interviewed by the press. And I only have time here to scratch the surface. Tom O'Neill spent 20 years diving into the case and still hasn't reached the bottom of it. Although his brilliant book Chaos: Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s goes into far more detail on the intricacies of the cover-up. Mind control, brainwashing, psychic driving. We've seen some pretty impressive technology, but not all of the CIA's experiments and tests have worked perfectly. In fact, some were so nonsensical and silly that it's even a wonder that they made it past the drawing board. And a lot of these stupid schemes involve the use of animals in one way or another. I mean, just take the CIA's quite literal solution to the dead drop problem. Agents needed a way to transfer important messages or documents without seeing each other. So the storage method had to be something so normal it wouldn't be noticed, or so disgusting it wouldn't be touched. So the agents had the bright idea to create dead rats with a secret storage compartment hidden in their hollowed out carcass. Which sounds genius, right? Well, not exactly. I mean, in a lot of ways it was the perfect solution, but whilst it's true that no human would touch it, it didn't have the same effect on street cats. Either after noticing it and testing it on the field, the CIA found that their dead drops were regularly being cat burgled. Dosing the rats in Tabasco sauce or other repellents just didn't work, until the CIA eventually found that wormwood oil did the trick. It's unclear how many times the CIA used this technique, but now that it's declassified, it's probably not even worth checking if any rats you may encounter are secretly carrying messages. But if cats were so good at foiling CIA operations, why not try and use them instead? And this may have been the thought that led to Project Acoustic Kitty, the CIA's attempt to turn cats into spies. Over the 60s, the CIA poured over $20 million into creating listening devices for cats, and training them to go to specific locations and then report back. And the problem of just creating the listening devices cost the CIA so much money, because back in the 60s, bugging devices and microphones were far less advanced. But after years of research and development, the CIA designed a series of implants that could fit under a cat's skin and in its fur. Now theoretically the plan was to release the trained cat, it would go to the target destination, and then it would record and transmit audio back to the agents. This was the plan anyway, but did it go that smoothly? Not really. The first issue was the cats are just so hard to train. They'd rather run off looking for food than follow any agent's instructions. Some sources describe the first attempt in the field was to record the conversation of two men outside the Soviet embassy, and it did go well at first. The cat followed the instructions to the letter, right up until it got spooked, ran into the street, and got hit by a car, causing the CIA to lose both the devices and all of the training, as well as their loyal companion. And that's why in a heavily redacted declassified memo from 1967, the CIA revealed that whilst they managed to get consistent results from training the cats, the project was eventually abandoned. One animal-based project that did work though was the CIA's use of pigeons and other birds as aerial spies. In 1977, satellite spy technology was still relatively primitive, and spy planes were still incredibly risky. They could get spotted or even shot down, causing a massive political incident. One spy plane shot down by the Soviet Union in the run-up to the Cuban Missile Crisis was one of the key reasons that brought the world to a global nuclear crisis. So the CIA improvised and found a new use for pigeons, who had last seen action in the First World War as message carriers. The idea was that by attaching cameras to the pigeons, operatives could carry out almost unnoticeable aerial photos from an incredibly low distance. Agents would then release the trained birds from a hidden compartment in a VW Beetle, then just wait for them to fly over the target and come back.
That's weird.
The pigeons could get incredibly detailed pictures of military targets without ever arousing suspicion. suspicion, and surprisingly this actually worked. When they tested them on US bases, the pigeons were taking better pictures than the most advanced spy satellites. Unfortunately, the declassified files about the project ended shortly after the successful tests, and the CIA has stated that some parts of the program are still classified, implying that the pigeons worked and saw use in the field. But to what extent, we don't even know. Lots of the CIA's more wacky ideas revolved around animals, but another dumping ground for their stupidest schemes were based on assassinating Fidel Castro. Most people know about the CIA's vendetta against Castro and the strange methods they tried, like exploding cigars or poisoned scuba gear. But how did this all start?
He was looking dead at me.
Castro had been on the CIA's radar ever since he deposed their friendly dictator in Cuba and took power himself. By instating a communist revolution in the country, this completely alienated Cuba from America, and after he took power, he had lost a lot of powerful people a lot of money. The mafia in particular were heavily invested in Cuba through a ring of dirty casinos, which they had used to launder their money. So when Castro took control, he dissolved the casinos and lost the mob millions in the process. But more particularly was that as Cuba became an ally of Russia and threatened America directly, the CIA had to get involved. And so this is what led to the CIA recruiting two head mafios to whack Castro in 1960, Sam Giancana and Johnny Rosselli, two crime bosses on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list, who had an extensive history dominating the criminal underworld. But things just didn't go to plan. First, the mafia presented a man.
We'll be back in a second. Just give me a second, man. Oh, 1 second.
Time to get the fuck into Dodge.
Damn. Time to get the fuck into Dodge, he said.
Man in Cuba's government who had access to Castro, and the CIA gave him poison pills to slip into Castro's food.
About to come under attack. We need you inside and ready to defend it ASAP. The Russians will try to take the facility sector by sector. We need to slow them and force them to withdraw. There's lots of open areas, so be aware of surroundings at all times. We're counting on you.
Alright, yeah, we back. Bluetooth should be tripping sometimes. I don't know why, but it's a patch.
But after scamming some more money out of the CIA a few times, he backed out. Similar mafia poisoning attempts also failed, as did more traditional methods like gunmen and bombs. And considering their track record in killing heads of state in the 60s, it might just seem like the mafia were just stringing along the CIA the whole time, as they knew the CIA wouldn't be able to do anything against them. So after 2 years of failures and wasted money, the CIA got impatient, and so they tried something drastic. And this is when the Bay of Pigs invasion began, a CIA operation designed to get Castro out and retake control of Cuba. They funded an entire invasion force, but it never got off the beach. Now the details are too long to go into this video, but in short, it failed spectacularly and almost caused nuclear war, so they went back to assassination. In 1963, the CIA planned on killing Castro with exploding seashells. First, they'd embed explosives in a big seashell and then paint it with weird colors and patterns. Then they'd drop it in the sea off the beach that Castro used to frequent. He'd go swimming, see the beautiful seashell, and be unable to resist taking it home. Once he picked it up, boom. Castro's dead, nuclear catastrophe has been averted, and communism fails. Cuba becomes an American ally. However, it's not hard to see why this didn't make it past the planning stage, as if Castro really was just going to pick up objects and bring them home. Another scheme involved a diving suit lined with tuberculosis, but this was also never implemented. One woman hired to kill Castro got closer than all the others. She was given poison pills to slip to Castro concealed in a jar of cold cream. But when she was about to do the deed, she discovered that the pills had dissolved, making them useless. With her plan foiled, she confessed her motives to Castro. Any other dictator would have had her killed, but instead Castro leaned over and gave her his gun, saying, "You can't kill me, nobody can kill me." Then, according to her story, she fell into his arms and they made love before she quickly fled the country. More failed attempts included a pen with a secret poison needle and poisonous powder sprinkled into his shoes. Castro's inner circle estimated that someone tried to kill him 634 separate times, and yet he dodged them all, with Castro eventually dying in 2016 at the age of 90 from old age. While they did fail to kill him, the CIA did consider some alternative solutions to the Cuba problem, and one of their proposed plans, Operation Northwoods, demonstrates their regard for the people they're supposed to defend. Released in the late 90s to the public, one CIA document describes what they call justification for US military intervention in Cuba. Proposed to the Secretary of Defense in 1962, the plan describes a series of false flag attacks across the US. One specific fake incident plan describes taking a plane and modifying it to look like a specific domestic commercial flight with a flight path going over Cuba. Then it would be switched with the real plane, and CIA operatives acting as crew members and passengers would all get on board. The plane would fly normally for a time before submitting a phony distress call and secretly landing at a US military base. In its place, a drone would then fly over Cuba and self-destruct. The US could then blame the plane's disappearance on a Cuban missile attack, giving them justification for a war. Now, this was only ever a plan, but it does make some of the 2001 conspiracy theories a little bit more plausible. Other plans related to Operation Northwoods, they describe actual plans to bomb civilian targets across the US, especially targeting Cuban expatriates and enemies of Castro's regime. Then false evidence would implicate Cuba and incite a war. Another plan involved blowing up a US ship in Cuban waters and then blaming them for the tragic loss of life. They even considered a plan to sabotage John Glenn's mission to become the first American to orbit the Earth. By destroying the nation's hopes, the US government and the CIA could redirect the anger and despair for their own sinister use. The briefing also describes anticipated reactions from the UN and NATO. If they got it right, the report predicts that an image of rash and irresponsible actions by Cuba would develop. It also states that nobody at NATO or the UN should be sent the plans for obvious reasons. And all these plans came from General Lyman Lemitsa and were only stopped at the final step before approval when JFK learned of the operation. After JFK found out about this, Lemitsa was fired from his position as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff shortly after the plan was adopted. And you'd expect that this would be the end of his career. His willingness to actually murder US citizens to justify an unnecessary war should have made him ineligible for command. Instead, he was made Supreme Commander of NATO's forces in Europe from 1962 to 1969. Knowing this, it's really a miracle that the Cold War didn't turn into a hot one. However, Operation Northwoods wasn't the only time that the CIA tried to mislead and manipulate public opinion in their favor. Much more vague but more damning allegations emerged in the 70s that the CIA had been paying off journalists across the world and in the US. It was called Operation Mockingbird, and it involved a massive conspiracy to control information spanning across 25 years. The investigation began with an inspection of a particular wiretapping scheme conducted by the CIA in 1963. 2 US reporters had been tapped to gain information on who their sources were. You see, these 2 reporters had both exposed government secrets to the press, and whilst the CIA couldn't go after the reporters themselves, it didn't mean that they couldn't use them to get the actual whistleblowers within the government. Using the illegal wiretap, the CIA got what they needed, but in doing so, they spied on US citizens without any links to foreign powers. And when this came out, it was referred to as Project Mockingbird, but further details grew into the wider conspiracy on control known as Operation Mockingbird. A report from a special investigation in 1976 alleges that the CIA controlled a network of hundreds of top-level journalists across the world. These journalists would inform the CIA of anything relevant, as well as spread their propaganda for them. It gave the CIA the ability to directly intervene in public opinion whenever they liked. 50 of these journalists, though, were based in America, and they helped sway American public opinion towards the CIA's goals. And they also acted as agents abroad, using their status as an accredited journalist to cover up their connections with the CIA. Now, the CIA officially renounced these tactics after they were made public, but it's very likely that they could still be involved in media manipulation. But whilst the CIA may have relinquished direct control over the media, they weren't afraid of using their power to cover up their crimes and silence whistleblowers. I mean, that was the fate of Gary Webb, a journalist who used to work for the San Jose Mercury News. In his time at the paper, he reported on corrupt officials and organizations, spreading light on shady deals and missing funds. And he was one of the best reporters around, winning a Pulitzer Prize for his exposés. But the story of a lifetime came in 1995, when he uncovered evidence that the CIA had not only been aware that they were funding and working with cocaine traffickers, but the CIA were actively protecting them. In an incredibly detailed, controversial report called Dark Alliance, he exposed the CIA's crimes to the world. The only problem was that nobody believed him. In a malicious and directed campaign, Webb was made to seem like a conspiracy theorist. He was discredited and pilloried by newspapers. Everyone saw him as a crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, which was all part of the CIA's, quote, productive relationships with journalists. Webb was then unceremoniously fired from his job with his reputation left in tatters. Forced out of his career, Gary Webb seemingly took his own life. Although this does seem very suspicious, because 2 years after Webb's report was released, it came out that the majority of it was actually true. His critics had overblown issues within his report and used them to discredit him. But the core claim of his report, the fact that the CIA were turning a blind eye to drug trafficking, was completely true. Just like MKUltra, the story begins with the existential fear of communism. The CIA was desperate to make sure that the US could maintain control of Central and South America. Firstly, they had major economic interests. The US and its neo-colonial fruit companies used Latin America as a source of cheap labor. In some cases, they owned half of the country's land, extracting billions of dollars from the people of these countries, and a communist regime would threaten all of this, as well as giving Russia direct access towards America, as this was another battleground in the Cold War. And so America was always going to be willing to support anyone who would fight the communists. It didn't matter how brutal of a dictator you were, or what your past crimes had been. If you were fighting communism, you could expect an almost unlimited supply of money and guns. And it's in this way that the US overthrew the democratically elected government of Guatemala in 1954, replacing it with a friendly authoritarian dictator, happy to exploit his country for a cut of the profits. A similar thing happened in Bolivia, Panama, Chile, the list just goes on. But it was in Nicaragua where Webb found his story. There the CIA had been funding Contra rebels, a military force with dictatorship ambitions and a hatred for communism. They will funnel guns and money by the CIA and the US government. Reagan even called these people freedom fighters in a campaign speech, despite their terror tactics. However, Webb revealed that the Contras, in an effort to secure more funds for their rebellion, were actually trafficking cocaine, hailing them to Freeway Rick Ross and two other infamous Californian drug lords. These were some of the men responsible for the crack epidemic that swept across America in the 80s. The epidemic that ripped apart families, put hundreds of thousands behind bars, and killed countless thousands of people. Now, the CIA would later admit that 2 of the 3 men did have personal connections with the Contras, and that major narcotic deals had taken place between them. He even showed evidence that the CIA had actually been aware of this. Both claims were later backed up by a CIA report, but Webb's work is just one piece of the puzzle. Both the wars against the communists and the then drug war introduced a massive amount of guns into the region. They started these wars without any clear goals, and they inevitably broke down in a perpetual battle for control between splintered factions. And when countries become more destabilized, this means more poverty and destitution for their people, which then creates more soldiers for the drug cartels. It's a never-ending cycle that's led to the drug war that we see today. And the more destabilized it becomes in the rest of the Americas, the more drugs then get trafficked to the West. And this wasn't just the CIA catalyzing the crack epidemic. This was also happening in Afghanistan, where when the American government entered Afghanistan, opium production increased from 10% to 90% in the region. And this is one of the furthest reaching legacies of the CIA and their tampering in other countries. And it might seem like this is all history, because of how long it takes documents to get declassified and revealed to the public, as we still don't know much about the CIA's most recent activities, but what we do know clearly shows that they still have the same disregard for human life and the law. But one of the most recent crazy CIA operations was their plot to assassinate Julian Assange.
The US had plans to abduct or even assassinate Julian Assange.
Conspiracy to kidnap and murder an Australian citizen and an award-winning journalist and editor who has done nothing but publish truthful information about the United States and about war crimes, human rights abuse and corruption the world over.
In 2017, officials at the highest levels of US government were plotting his demise. And this wasn't just an idea. Specific plans were suggested, diagrammed, and ran through various committees before they reached the top, with the scheme even being given the green light by top officials, with months of planning going into the hit. Now, it started in early 2017, when Mike Pompeo took the stand in Washington to give his first speech as director. But instead of talking about the future or his plans for the CIA in general, he focused on WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks walks like a hostile intelligence service and talks like a hostile
intelligence service.
In his first chance to speak publicly in his new position of power, Pompeo chose to call WikiLeaks a quote, non-state hostile intelligence service, often abetted by state actors like Russia. This came as a shock, because for years prior, the US and the CIA had always considered Assange a journalist. So what caused this giant pivot? And why was the CIA's biggest enemy now Julian Assange? Well, this was because WikiLeaks had published their most embarrassing leak to date, publishing a trove of classified documents called Vault 7 in early 2017.
Exposed the CIA's most sensitive hacking tools that it used to launch offensive cyber activities around the world. And it was considered at the time the largest data loss in CIA history.
The leaks purportedly show that the CIA is capable of hacking smartphones, computer operating systems, automobiles, messenger applications, and even internet-connected televisions.
These documents exposed the CIA's own hacking tools and techniques, which apparently severely compromised their intelligence operations. Along with the humiliation of being hacked and having their secrets exposed to the world, pushed the CIA to consider drastic measures against Assange and WikiLeaks. That's why under the leadership of Director Mike Pompeo, who consistently emphasized the threat posed by WikiLeaks, the CIA would begin prioritizing the kidnapping and the subsequent assassination attempt of Assange. A truckload of intelligence updates were regularly sent to President Trump. Next, the CIA would explore other options, like sabotaging WikiLeaks web servers, along with spreading disinformation about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, and even going so far as to steal computers from them. But the secure, secret nature of WikiLeaks made these plans impractical. It was clear that PSYOPs and intelligence weren't going to change WikiLeaks or Julian Assange, and so the CIA would continually pressure Trump to finally change plans with Assange and give them the chance to crack at him, with the biggest advocate for this change in policy being pushed by Mike Pompeo. And after enough pressure, the government would redefine WikiLeaks as a threat to national security. The CIA had been given the go-ahead. They would finally take down Julian Assange once and for all, with Pompeo even going so far as to say, quote, nothing's off limits, don't self-censor yourself, I'll worry about the lawyers in Washington. The first idea was to kidnap Assange, but this idea was quickly shot down due to the complexities of violating multiple countries' sovereignty. I mean, to get him, they would have to violate 3 countries' sovereignty at once, as Assange was an Australian citizen living in an embassy that was in London, but was technically on Ecuadorian soil. So the CIA would opt for more extreme measures, and this was when the assassination operation began, as leaked conversations in mid-2017 revealed that Trump inquired about the possibility of assassinating Assange and other WikiLeaks members, prompting the CIA to develop options and plans. Legal considerations were raised, but Pompeo and the CIA would push forward, seemingly unconcerned about the legality of their actions, with sources within the CIA going so far as to say that when Pompeo took over the CIA, he cut the lawyers out of a lot of things. I mean, it's unknown whether the CIA's head legal counsel had even heard of this assassination plot when it was being drawn up. But unburdened by questions about legality, Pompeo and the CIA plowed ahead anyway, and time was running out. People were starting to realize the injustices Julian Assange was facing. He was a slave living in the Ecuadorian embassy, completely cut away from his family and normal regular society. And because of this growing public pressure, Sweden would drop their bogus charges against him in May of 2017, and public opinion was vastly in his favor. And that's when the CIA was growing increasingly alarmed. They had to do something fast. And then not long after, the CIA would soon discover intelligence that suggested the Russians were plotting to help Assange escape the embassy and fly him back to Russia. The exact same thing they had already done to Edward Snowden, and the CIA wasn't going to repeat this embarrassment again. And so the CIA, along with the British and Russian intelligence, intensified their planning and surveillance of the embassy. Every major power wanted him, and because of the growing tension, the extremism of these plans burgeoned. I mean, the CIA was actually drawing up plans to engage in a gunfight with Russian agents during their escape attempt, or even crashing a car into Assange's vehicle, or preventing his departure by firing on the tires, to denying airspace to the plane that leaves to Russia, all while Russian agents began practicing escape maneuvers in their cars outside of the embassy, all designed to throw off and confuse anyone watching them. It was so crazy that one former senior official said, quote, it got to the point where every human being in a 3-block radius was working for one of the intelligence services, whether they were street sweepers or police officers or security guards. All of these agents were surrounding the embassy, and so it was no surprise that Assange and his associates became increasingly paranoid. WikiLeaks was the core of an international conspiracy, which is why Assange believed that all of his conversations were being monitored and being used against them to release more fake, damaging information in the event of their deaths, all to smear WikiLeaks and Assange's name. And he wasn't wrong to be paranoid. The CIA actually had an inside source within the Ecuadorian embassy providing intelligence on Assange's activities, and he was also close to poisoning Assange. The secretive nature of this operation has meant that all precise details remains kind of unclear. However, the leaked information and conversations indicate a concerted effort by the CIA
That's
to
crazy.
assassinate Assange, which to put it simply means that the government was willing to break
They
all
was trying to knock his
international
ass off in so many words, man. I'm back though. Somebody save me. I'm this guy, alright.
They are hitting Bravo 1. If we can continue to hold off the Russian attacks, we may have them beat.
Hostile troop movement. 170 meters.
We just lost control of an objective.
Damn! What, did I just run right past him or something? I didn't even see him. There was at least two of them.
Requesting
Take all objectives.
Regroup in the next sector.
Russians have entered the sector. Regroup and guard the objectives.
Got him. Fucked up. Popped his smoke too soon.
The enemy is moving on Charlie 1.
Grenade out! Requesting Ranger drop at these coordinates. Ranger, patrol over there.
We're in the sector, but our defenses are holding strong.
It's going down. We just supposed to be defending.
One is down! Reloading!
The Russian reinforcements are thinning.
Taking casualties! We got the job done!
Enemy subject! Red!
My sentry is ready!
He stuck me with that shit. That's why I hate sitting in the doorway. Hey, I'm in the base though. Bitch. And I got a headshot on somebody. And we got ammo.
Objective locked. We'll need to retake it.
Understood. Requested vehicle en route. We have enemies attacking Charlie 1. The enemy has conquered Charlie 2.
Couldn't get the third one. He threw C4 at me, that's crazy. C5, C4, same shit, only different. I think we won. Holy shit, that's fucked up.
Disregard! Hostile helo located!
I was about to shoot him again.
And the Russians are disengaging. Mission
We win.
accomplished.
On that note, I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.